people believe that the paranormal and science are separate. But what they don't know, that they are both joined together as one. Join Ben and Louisa on their quest as they bring together science, occult, and the paranormal, only on Occult History and Science with Ben and Lou.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Oh no.
It's just not come up as like it normally does. I don't know why.
We was having intended it.
Yeah, don't know what it's doing. There we go.
Un momento, por favor. Stop barking. Hi guys. If you're watching, say hello. It is that time of the evening again where Ben puts a weird ass accent on.
Yeah.
Somehow sounds like an 1800 gentleman mixed with I don't know what. Yes, how are we all doing in the land of Facebookery? Said Facebookery as well. Facebook bookery. You try and get ban me 5 minutes into not even a minute into the show. How we doing, Natasha? Nice to see you. Hello, Scarlet Witch. Nice of you to be here. Hi, Kate the traitor.
Ben, leave her alone. We don't own her.
Not yet.
Damon might want to.
Yes. Captain Wild Bill, nice to see you, buddy. It's been a long time. Stu.
How's our weekend?
Yeah.
How's our weekend?
Yeah.
How's your weekend, my lover?
Well, I'm recovering after 10 days on street. That's why I've been looking like a dead man on Friday.
You're looking
Yeah.
more alive now.
Yeah. 10 days grinding down metal columns has absolutely knackered me out. So yes, Friday I was pretty much in the dead zone.
Oh, I didn't get back, did we? Because I was dropping Evelyn off. That's why we were late. And you forgot your house.
Yeah. But yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we went investigating it
Yeah.
last night.
Last night we went out with the first ever team we actually went out with. That brought me back to paranormal field.
What? Everything not working.
So yeah, it was nice to catch up with. That's Paranormal Brooks.
No, Brooks Paranormal.
Brooks Paranormal. Sorry, Linda. Brooks Paranormal. Brilliant team. Really nice. Jesus Christ, me mum's watching.
Is she back from holiday? Or is she still on
No,
holiday?
she'd be sat in Spain. Hi, Mum. Yeah, my mum's out in Spain and failed to let us know. So yes, Mum is probably drunk to go to try and watch this. Will you two stop it? So, got gremlins at the minute in the studio, guys.
They've got a long eating and then they used to go a little bit crazy. Yeah.
Ouch. Buster?
Oh, he knows he's being told off now. Oh, look at it. Oh.
Ouch.
Oh.
Fine.
Oh, he's giving the poker face.
Sorry, guys, about that. Yes, so
He might just look.
we are going to be carrying on with the book. Occult Sciences.
Hi, it's been a while. Good.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been like a good couple of months now.
Yes,
Have a break between chapters
Yeah.
because it's kind of heavy going, heavy reading.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been in the 1900s.
Oh, it's just
it's
described as a handbook. It's a handbook.
Okay, to verify, the actual handbook.
It's described as a handbook. Bit like reading. I don't know.
Okay, so
There's
Moving
no
on.
way.
comparison in size.
Yeah, handbook.
Occultology, science. Yeah. More. Yeah.
Yours isn't a handbook though. That's not.
Occultology philosophy.
Yeah, that's not. This one is not described as a handbook within its contents. This one is described as a handbook, not a handbook.
I'd sit and read for a while. Yes. So tonight is. Why am I? I'm halfway up the shop. Sorry, guys. So tonight, Luke is going to be reading the part on black magic.
Well, let's make a start on it because the chapters are quite long. And Ben will. You didn't read that accent. Ben will translate its meaning into modern day terms.
So to
Modern
start
day.
off,
What
the
was?
difference between white magic and black magic when it comes to cultology
Mm-hmm.
in the early days was anything that involved Christianity, anything that involved calling on angels or higher spirits that was deemed members of the light, as you heard when we did the last lot, that is classed as white magic. Anything that is actual cultology is classed as dark magic, black magic.
Not as bad as you think.
Yeah, not as bad as you think, and which is really ironic.
Okay.
Go for it. In fact, there's a stamp in it, 1927.
Yeah. The Boston Medical Library, April 29, 1927.
What?
As he twiddled his moustache, I shall again. What's up with that dog? Right. Black magic, the evocation of demons. An exceedingly large proportion of mystical pneumatology was concerned with the devildom of Orthodox Christian theologians, and the discreet reticence of modern mystics notwithstanding, it is better to face this fact.
Yes, Bill, pretty much. That is the exact point we make. Well, you have to remember these are the early days, 1800s, 1900s.
Mm-hmm. Much that passed current in the West as white, i.e. permissible magic, was only a disguised Gnosticism, and many of the resplendent angels invoked with divine rights reveal their cloven hoofs. It is not too much to say that a large majority of past psychological experiments were conducted to establish communication with demons, and that for unlawful purposes. The popular conceptions concerning the diabolical spheres, which have been all accredited by magic, may have been gross exaggerations of fact concerning rudimentary and perverse intelligences, but the willful vivaciousness of the communications is untouched thereby. They did not condense their writings.
No.
They elaborated, they embellished, and all that, didn't they?
Yeah. So I'll let Lou to read it because, guys, we know what I'm like. If I read it,
I'm tripping up already. It takes a while to get into this. And I'm trying not to put an accent on, so it's easy to understand. Trying not to stay in Broad Yorkshire. Anyway.
Here I come on this.
By gum, there was their demons.
Trouble down at mill caused by that demons.
Anyway. It is universally recognized by all the Christian mystics and magical hierophants that the demons are fallen angels. They are substantial agreement with Orthodox theology as to the nature and cause of their fall. And what do we say to that, Ben?
Don't trip over. Watch where you're walking.
We're saying that the demons are the fallen angels.
Boulder Dash.
Boulder Dash. Some fix it before the creation of the physical world, some on the second day of the creation. Their conceptions on the subject are quite as inadequate as anything that is offered by theology. It will be interesting to trace the demonological hypothesis from its extreme Oriental origin to its gruesome medieval elaborations, to establish by philosophical and historical facts the true nature of the frontal conception of demons, and to distinguish between the demon of Socrates and the fiend of the Black Sabbath. But inquiry is beyond our scope.
So basically, at that point in history, where they started to study this on cultology, becoming more of a mainstream subject to study, Theologians were questioning whether demons from Greek, Egyptian, Rome mythology, the great dark beings, were the same as the ones that Christianity claimed. Ergo, when you bring in historical studies to it, we start to find out that they're not. The word demonic in Greek actually refers to the behavior of someone. So someone who is really bad is acting demonic. Same as we'd say they're acting wicked, which now is like has a complete different term. So it's one of them things where history changed. However, again, in just a space of 100 years. So what are we now? 23, aren't we? 24, 25, 26. So in 4 years, this book is 100 years old. English has changed dramatically in 100 years. So yeah.
It is sufficient to state that the word demon did not anciently imply of necessity a spirit of ill nature,
Wabam.
and that the doctrine of devils passed over with the rest of a doubtful inheritance from the Jewish to the Christian systems, and the classification of the angelical hierarchies was counterbalanced by a classification of the masters and hosts of the great abyss.
Wabam.
Agrippa affirms that the lost angels are equal in number to those who retained their their first estate, and that they were also divided into 9 formal hierarchies. Wierus, who was his disciple, has furnished a tabulated statement of the whole satanic monarchy, with the names and the surnames of 72 princes and a myriad of smaller devils. It appears from this tabulation that the throne of Infernus has passed from the possession of the genuine and original serpent, Satan, and that Beelzebub reigns in his place, the entire disposition being made after the following manner.
So basically saying that Baal or Biel was actually in charge, not Satan.
Princes and grand dignitaries. So, Beelzebub, supreme chief of the infernal court and empire, and founder of the Order of the Fly. Don't have an accent. Satan, leader of the opposition. Euronymous, prince of death, grand cross of the Order of the Fly. Moloch, lord of the land of tears, grand cross of the Order. Pluto, lord of fire. Leonard,
Good.
grand master of the Sabbath, and knight of the Fly. Borbereth, master of alliances. Proserpine, arch she-fiend, sovereign princess of the perverse spirits. And then you've got your ministers. Andramelech, Lord High Chancellor, Grand Cross of the Order of the Fly. Astaroth, Lord of High Treasure. Nergal, Chief of the Secret Police. Baal, Commander-in-Chief of the Infernal Armies, Grand Cross of the Order of the Fly. Leviathan, Lord High Admiral, Knight of the Fly. Lots of
Flies.
fly stuff going off here. Why do people associate flies with demons, isn't it, really? You've got your ambassadors. Belphegor, who is the ambassador in France. Mammon, ambassador in England. Belial, ambassador in Turkey. Rimmon, ambassador in Russia. Thamos, ambassador in Spain. Pushkin, ambassador in Italy. Martinet, ambassador in Switzerland. That's quite interesting. They've all got their own
Yeah, little is known about that fact. See, that is kept as a cultology, one of the cultology facts. Well, say fact, you know what I mean. One of the hidden knowledges that demonics have ambassadors in every single country. This is a small few because of how Europe was at the time. In 1927, World War One's just happened. World War Two.
Well, was this written? Might be written a little bit before, because I know it's
Yeah,
1891. It was just stamped from the library at notes. So yeah, 1891.
But after World War Two, after World War One, sorry, all them names changed. Became more added to it. Then again, 1945 happens and it all changed again. And now we have what's known as the state as it is, which is known as the Union of I think it's known as the Union of Dark Planes or something like that, because cultologists, we really are poetical, our words. God knows why. We're going to call this thing, we have a box here that's empty. We're going to call it empty box.
The magnificent void of emptiness and eternal darkness.
Yes.
Because we're cultologists. We like to fancy stuff.
That's all cultologists are just like metalheads.
What, back in 1891?
Yeah.
Right. Let's have a comments. Okay, but isn't Ozzy Osbourne Prince of Darkness?
Ozzy Osbourne is Prince of Darkness, yes, and Lemmy is God.
But tonight, doing really well there. Tongue tied. I know, I'm going to really concentrate on that. Got Emma. Sorry, Poppy's just trying to dig up my blankets. There seems to be a lot of similarity between the images of the pagan gods and demons. Do you think early Christians implied pagan gods were actually demons to encourage people to follow a Christian path?
Yes. Bang on the nail there. We see it's a hell of a lot with a lot of the ancient spirits when it comes to it. For example, if you look at the devil, the image of the devil was being a horned or hoofed man. Cloven hoofed horn. Sorry, guys, I'm full of beans. Being like basically a fawn, if anyone knows what fawn is.
You mean fawn?
Fawn from Greek mythology.
Pan.
Yeah, Pan was the original god of nature and balance within the Greek faith. I said the Greek faith because I don't remember the actual term for the Greek faith. But yeah, Christianity obviously took that idea, span it around, and butchered it, and
Made them to be evil and
Yeah.
new.
made them
Christian.
the original demons. Yes. Sorry.
Yes. Have you hailed Satan today?
Yep.
A ghost man.
Yes. So yes, we shall continue with this one.
I mean, I'm glad you're not sleepy, but
Carry on.
turn it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you've got the judge, Lucifer, Lord Chief Justice. You got Alistair, Commissioner of Public Works. Not
Alistair Crowley.
yeah, this is like 1891.
Loads of people assume that when Crowley is mentioned when it comes to demonic stuff, they assume it's Alistair Crowley that the cultology world is going on about. Put it this way, the entirety of the cultology world doesn't mention him because we all freaking hate him. He is
Okay, moving on. Slowly ranting. Got the royal household. Verdelet, Master of Ceremonies. Sukkar Benoth, Chief of the Eunuchs. Kamos, Grand Chamberlain, Knight of the Fly. Melchom, Paymaster. Mizroch, Chief Steward. Then you've just got a few names. You've got Behemoth, Dagon, Mullin, First Valet de Chambre. Then you've got the Master of the Rebels, Kobold, who is the stage manager. What's with these titles? Asmodeus, Superintendent of Playhouses. Seriously? Nightbrass. And then you've got Antichrist, Juggler, and Necromancer. In a perfectly phenomenal work, a record of personal experiences in all the species of deviltry.
See you later, Jess.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, internet keeps
Oh, no.
cutting out.
Written in the first quarter of the present century by Alexis Vincent Charles Berbigier, de Ter Nouveau du Time, and the quality entitled Les Farfidets, or All Demons Are Not of the Other World. The author affirms that the court of hell had human emissaries and representatives in a number of great cities, and even enumerates persons, apparently his actual contemporaries, who occupied posts in the viceroyalty of eternal perdition. Yeah.
Kate's got a question. Curious to know, is the Dark Lord himself listening to opera? I do have a tendency to like listening to opera. If you're on about me as the Dark Lord or someone else. Lou used to find it funny when I first mentioned that I'm actually quite cultural. I like going and watching stuff.
Yeah, that's taking me enough.
I've taken down to London to the ballet, please. Yeah.
Must have been the way you asked. Right, amidst the superstition, the stupidity, the malice, and the perversity of goetic experiments, we may recognize the existence of one central truth, which is of great importance in rational mysticism, the existence of a class of intelligences in the extra-mundane spheres, whose nature are gross, formless, and undeveloped, or have been developed along the lines of that intense spiritual malice which is commonly identified with the essential nature of devils. The hypothesis and the formal tubulations of the Grand Masters of medieval demonology, of Agrippa and Wierus, of Bodin, Delacroix, and Del Rio, have had little value except from the archaeological standpoint, as otherwise unheard of curiosities. That is to say, they have nothing in themselves to recommend them, and as doctrinal extensions of alleged facts, they cannot be consistently resuscitated along with revived mysticism, which is concerned with the facts alone and not with fantastic explanations.
You lazy pork. Sorry, Gnarl pork is literally sat in a basket, like head over to start drinking out the bowl instead of actually getting up and walking around. So yeah, at the time, basically, when this was being written, people were starting to realise that like Christianity teachings of demonics were starting to be questioned. The authority and how the church has perceived them for centuries was starting to be picked apart. People were starting to notice different things.
It may be concluded from the tenure of the foregoing remarks that the holy horror of the black magic, which is entertained by the modern apostles of mysticism, is in the main well-founded, but nevertheless much nonsense has been written on the subject of the darker side of the transcendental art, and many exaggerated notions have been propagated concerning the infernal branch of mystic practice. Sometimes these exaggerations take the form of distinct and, it would seem, of wilful perversions. Eliphas Levi is the prophet of modern mysticism, one of the most finished mystics of all the Christian centuries. There are probably no person who has entered into that great magic chain which began with Hermes or Enoch, and will only end with the world, had ultimately not only a less belief, but a more profound disdain from all the pneumatic theorems. Indeed, he has considerably blackened the black art by sensational pseudo-citations which do not exist in the works from which he proposes to quote. It is suggested that Levi, as one who was acquainted with the real and awful dangers of black magic, was determined to confuse and mislead the ill-intentioned dabbler by all possible methods, including false quotations.
But there you have it. That is the start of cultology versus the church, basically. And again, this is when the thing with cultology is everyone thinks that we are based purely in Christianity. We are not. We're based in every religion we go. We start to question fact, what religions class as facts. Now, this book, when these were written, was obviously the high point of cultology rebirth, as we call it. And yeah, as you can tell from that, they're starting to question the authenticity of what the church teaches, and starting to notice that the teachings go beyond the age of Christianity. As was mentioned with the Greeks, Hermes and Enoch, obviously being Jewish, yes, it was part of the Christianity faith, but Enoch was abandoned by the Christianity faith in the early days. So it does start to make you question. Favorite composer for I ask you because I'm crap with names. I'll have to get back to you on that, Kate. But I am a very big fan of Beethoven as well. Very big fan, mainly his early stuff, but towards his the Ninth Symphony, Eighth Symphony, Symphony.
Yeah.
Number 8, number 9.
Okay. While Bill says Christianity, one of the youngest religions around, still keeping control of their flocks of sheep by their misplaced information.
Yes. Yeah.
It says,
The church
"Identity
ruled out
more fully
fear.
taken belief."
The church ruled by fear most of the time.
And hello, Emily.
Nice to have you, Emily. I think it's your first time here. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show.
As ever, anyone's got any questions,
Yep.
pop them up
chat.
either in the chat or message this year.
Yeah.
Eh.
Any questions you happen to ask as well, as always, the floor is open. Any paranormal questions you want to ask or any questions in general, just fire them up in the comments and we will answer them for you as we go.
Okay. The Grimoire Verum and the Grand Grimoire divide with the Grimoire of the Pope Honorius the doubtful honour of being the official textbooks of medieval black magic. Their contents are incomprehensible enough, and there is no need to intensify their motive by vitiated selections and by interpreting the recipes which they contain in an unwarranted sense. The most noticeable feature of the grimoires and of the science which they represent is their utter futility, the immense expenditure of elaborate liturgic and ritualistic energy for the smallest possible results. Black magic offers to its possessor absolutely no power with which the permissible branches of magic are unable, by their claim, to endow him, and is for the most part little more than an ignorant, stupid, and grossly superstitious perversion of the white art. Why should it be necessary to call up the devils of hell, to invoke every intelligence of the abyss, from Bel and the dragon to Astaroth and Lucifer, merely to obtain possession of a hidden treasure? Now, the concealed money bags of dead misers represent the utmost altitude of the ambition of average black magicians. Why should the wizard barter with both body and soul, and bind himself with bloody parchments to the infernal hierarchy, simply to acquire the material riches which the less innocuous sister art pretends to dispense generously through the harmless and uncovetous hands of gnomes and nature spirits?
So there you're starting to see that they are realizing that the soul of the human body actually means nothing when it comes to currency. And starting to realize that you can pay with other things when it comes to arranging deals, shall we say. We do not on this channel, however, go out, would like to say that don't go out making any deals with black magic. One, most black magic rituals do contain dangerous ingredients. A lot of them contain nightshade, which you don't want to eat because it'll kill you flat. Just to make that clear. The only way you're going to be making that deal is from the other side. Rev, Bill, what you done? You've lost me. I said your iron brew. Iron brew is good. That is black magic.
We have iron brew there.
No.
Carl, hello, amazing people. Always nice to listen to you. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for joining us, buddy. Again, as we've said, any questions, fire them up in the chat and we will answer them as best we can. I'm pretty sure they don't have iron brew out in the States. Bill, we might have to send you a couple of bottles of iron brew.
Okay, not sure how they know, but scientists have discovered that the genes required for learning, memory, aggression, and other complex behaviors originated around 600 million years ago.
Yep. They're not sure, are they? They're thinking it's either an environmental change that made us become highly aggressive, or the progression of predatorial instincts that we sort of manifested out of fear for hunting. I think.
He's put back onto this one. I hate the term white black magic. When I hear that, I usually tune everything out and shut down my hearing from the information given, but I will continue listening. I just for
yes. You know what? We don't do black white magic. There's just
no
a line and that's it. It's just obviously we're going through this book, and that's the term they use. Again, unfortunately, it's a popular term still used. You have black, you have white magic. You just have a line.
It's just magic. It's fine. Um,
Sorry,
it would
we've literally been watching Labyrinth, so I've got the magic dance song in my head.
it would appear that in medieval times the doctrine of nature spirits, partly derived from the classical mythology of Rome, partly from the Aboriginal religions of the Teutons, and partly from the Arabian law, which at an early period penetrated into Europe, became confused with the Orthodox doctrine concerning the lost angels. More correctly, the indiscriminate condemnation of all branches of magic by victorious Christianity resulted in the identification of the elementary intelligences with the minor hordes of devils, and this grotesque classification was accepted by the black magicians, who expected to obtain their desires with greater facility from the fiends than from the other classes of invisible beings. This opinion was completely accredited by the theology of the period, for the universal diffusion of devildom and the practical omnipotence of Satan and his extreme readiness to distribute the kingdoms of the earth, with all their pomps and vanities, to those who would fall down and adore him, were doctrines untiringly taught by the Latin Church.
Yes. So that is obviously an announcement of elementals, which we now know in this day and age. Well, elementals, so known as elemental. I don't know where I was going.
They were calling little devils.
Yeah, they used to call them little devils. Christianity held elementals as miniature demons and devils. They're not, obviously, as I just stated, and for those of you that watch the show will know this multiple times, they are not their own classifications. Elementals being classified as fairy folk and sprites, will o' the wisps, all this sort of stuff. And to be fair, anyone that watches this and think I'm crazy when I start mentioning fairy folk and stuff like that, go over to Iceland, go over to Ireland, and say that that you're willing to go and trash a fairy folk area and see how quickly the locals turn on you. They diverted a road in Iceland because it was upsetting the fairy folk. The government diverted a road. Yes, yes.
Okay. The orthodox views concerning demonology have lapsed into deserved discredit. The system of infernal magic erected on their foundation has sunk with them into irretrievable oblivion. Rudimentary, retrogressive, and malevolent intelligences may indeed exist among the peoples of the illimitable world invisible, and with these it may be possible to communicate, but not on the lines, not with the alleged results, and not with the involved penalties of the black rituals. Were it otherwise, their reproduction at the present day, when all classes of mystical experiments are obtained a certain credence, and exciting curiosity not unmixed with reverence, would be a little short of criminal. But, unlike the beliefs and the practices connected with lawful magic, they belong to an order of ideas which has utterly passed away. They are the dead branch of the living tree of occultism, and it is only their archaic interest and the high place to which they are entitled among the curiosities of effete superstition that warrant their consideration in any comprehensive statement of the whole scope of esoteric science.
Phil, do you think, obviously you're reading the book, so it makes you kind of get a bit more attached to the person that obviously writes. Do you think that 100 years from then they would realise that what they classed as, or what they were just started on, of elementals? Do you think they'd ever think that it would reach the stage where we are now, where it's cultology in general? This is to you guys as well. Would be paranormal, the paranormal field in general, even not just cultology. But do you think they would ever have imagined that it'd be this freely spoke about as it is now? Like you mentioned the paranormal, and most people, I'm willing to say like 3/4 of the people you talk to would generally start having a conversation about the paranormal. where you think a couple of only probably 50 years ago, you mentioned the paranormal, most people would avoid that sort of conversation. And if you go back to like my grandma,
It was all like secretive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It has come out a lot more into the mainstream.
you go to my grandma's here, and my grandma being 93, she's an absolute legend, by the way. My grandma, she is solid, cast iron. Their generation didn't speak anything whatsoever. It was heathenistic to talk about.
Well, it's like even in like, you know, when this was written, it was when they had like their probably like secret dinner parties and
Yeah.
stuff. It wasn't sort of done sort of out in the public. It was all like secret invites, and it's like, oh, it's a special evening. It's all very hush hush.
Aristocrats that had like cultology parties and
Yeah.
orgies and stuff like that. Which, let's face it, they're still having orgies. We know this, and down the street, we've all seen the paper reports on having parties during COVID. Lovely.
Lovely. Right. Many of the practices taught.
Good evening, Annette. Sorry. Before we start.
All right. Many of the practices taught in the grimoires are, however, comparatively harmless. On the other hand, many of the experiments contained in legitimate rituals fall closely on black magic, those which are concerned with bloody sacrifices, a survival of Judaism and of the Hellenic theurgy being specifically open to objection. This garbage, trickery, and rubbish of the grimoires is the most noticeable feature which concerns them. Filthy physical processes for the recovery of female purity, revolting recipes for procuring invisibility by devouring the boiled bones of dead black cats, directions for the composition of aphrodisiacal potions and other refuse from the gutters of superstition, combined with grotesque and commonly impossible formulae for the evocation of the grand lucifuge, and written compacts for the sale of the souls of men, the small premiums to the tenants of perdition.
We would like to state here at the other dimension, we do not condone the eating of soaked, boiled bones of a black cat. They will not make you invisible. One, they will probably kill you. And two, we don't condone the killing of innocent animals. Everyone loves cats. Everyone loves dogs. Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to get that clear. Oh, Bill. Here in the US, it is. Oh, it's still a. Oh.
So the conversation about paranormal, all that stuff, so it's still avoided by most.
You think it wouldn't be though, with like how many paranormal shows there are in the States? It's like quite big
Yeah.
paranormal shows. Oh, I wonder. Oh, you live near the Bible Belt, though, don't you, Bill? Just saying that's probably why. Mass section in America where it's the Bible Belt.
Yeah. It is impossible to interpret the grimoires in any serious manner. Diabolical practices are invariably prefaced by long and solemn prayers, which insist on the purity of the magician's intention and on his fixed resolve to belong irrevocably to God. The most sacred rites of the Church are practiced as required preliminaries, and the authors are apparently guiltless of any conscious profanation of the matter. When the supreme moment of evocation at length arrives, when the masses have been said, when the long fasts are finished, when the celebrant has divested himself of all impure desires, and has preserved his body from all sexual defilement for a prescribed time, when the length he determines to invoke the devil, it is generally evident that he intends to trick the fiends. He possesses the words which master them. He can torture them with his magic wand. He can bully them. I've tried so hard. He can bully them into compliance with his demands. He treats them uniformly as fools. When he sells them his soul, he deceives them by an obvious play upon words, and the devil departs contented, while his evoker chuckles at his hoax, and contemplates his grotesque performance by a determination to devote himself to good deeds, to distribute the buried treasures he has on earth by the fiend's help among the poor of Christ, while his familiar is put off with a paltry coin on the first day of the month, Such is infernal magic. Such is the art of science on which some modern mystics expand their anthemas.
I told you my wand.
Ben. Oh,
Okay, but for those that watched the show in the past, Lou's giving me abuse for saying obviously that bit about torturing with a wand. Tell me, Lou, what do you do with cactuses?
I don't do things with cactuses.
Mm.
We need to do part 2 of that show, don't we? I need to get more stories like about impregnation with dildos and whatnot.
Weird as it
Anyway.
sounds.
Watch Friday's show from a couple of weeks back.
Yeah. What we got? We got Phil. Can we eat black and white cats then?
For the balance.
Yeah,
No.
I suppose you have
No,
to
don't eat the cats.
eat 2 white cats for
No.
1 black cat.
No.
Balance of the house.
No eating of the cats. It is around here. That's why I don't share lives, because my friends don't watch them.
Yeah, it's
Avoided due to the high Protestant religion. Yes,
Oh dear.
there's some Bible Belt in some places. Dancing is still considered as the devil's tool. Yeah, right there.
no, but hiccup.
Oh, there you have
Sorry,
it.
guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. For those of you who were on about, Lou brought up a Native American, it's Native American myth, wasn't it? To do with
It was
demons.
not your book. It
Yeah.
was weird. I don't think it was that true.
getting impregnated by cactuses. Anything will work if you're risky enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just reading. Well, cats don't have very much protein, better with eating them. Rat. Yeah.
Carry on. Should there be anyone sufficiently imbecile to desire to revive this truly awful art, it would be well to remind him, imbecile, and we're calling out him here, yeah,
That's because women weren't allowed to practice cultology.
because we're not imbeciles enough to
No,
do this.
This was an honest fact, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Women were not allowed to practice cultology, and to be honest, still aren't allowed to practice cultology. It's one of the only laws still going that it has to be men that do it, not women, which is weird.
Because men are imbeciles, it says in the book.
Yeah, it's due to the fact that apparently men are less likely to be corrupted than women. There's a load of basically.
Right. Is that? Yeah. Should there be anyone sufficiently imbecile to desire to revive this truly awful art, it'd be well to remind him that it can only be put in practice by a believer in the Catholic Church. We've got a star and subnote. That is to say, a complete materialist, believing only in the evidence of the senses, could not succeed, and a true Catholic would not try. The belief in that system must be at once real and strong, and it is an absolutely vital condition. And we've got in quotation marks, the evokers of the devil must before all things belong to a religion which believes in a devil who is the rival of God. And as all ceremonial, more especially from the magical standpoint, is ineffectual apart from faith. Those who undertake to make use of rites borrowed from the Roman Church and to invoke divine names which are the property of that church must themselves have embraced it, and that in all sincerity. When this condition has been fulfilled, which is certainly a difficult feat for the mystic of modern times, the postulant in the carnal synagogue of black magic will have to legislate as best he may for compliance with the substantially impossible directions which will be presently cited.
So basically, they are saying that demonology, viewed as Christianity point of view, is completely and utterly useless when it comes to modern day cultology, because we all know beyond this what Christianity says is a demon isn't actually a demon. They're ancient gods of history, and that pretty much sums that bit up. So, what about 15 minutes?
Yeah, I'll read. I'll get to the bottom of this page,
Okay.
and then yeah,
Just don't want to lose brain.
I'm flagging now. I'm just like, oh. Okay. Black magic, in its esoteric aspect, is a barbarous perversion of legitimate mystic science. The conditions of success in infernal avocations have been defined by Levi as follows: 1. Invincible obstinacy. 2. A conscience at once hardened by crime and most subject to remorse and terror. 3. Affected or natural ignorance. 4. Blind faith to everything incredible. 5. A completely false notion of God. Stripped of its grotesque and inhuman ceremonial and considered simply in its intention and result, the diabolizing of the human soul is at once its condition and end. When the frightful transformation is completed, the abandoned operator receives, even by the terms of his science, absolutely no return. Every practical power, as we have before stated, with black magic, can at the utmost offer to its initiates, is guaranteed with tenfold additional capacity on 10 times stronger authority, and in an infinitely simpler way, by the branch which is dominated divine. To be a Christian is hard, said the impressed but vacillating pagan, and the heights of mystical sanctity are also laborious in the ascent. But the apex of adeptship is far more easily attained by the humanity which is called thereto, than is the diabolical condition which the black magic that is behind black magic requires of its professors. That's me done.
So yeah, again, thank you for reading that out, guys. Lou has to read that out. It's
I need
really,
a strong.
it is really hard to read, to be fair to her. She does an amazing job on reading it, guys. Yeah, sure, it's doing no master.
Yeah, I'm using a little bit stronger than a herbal tea now.
Bill, women on.
Women are not in the sixes. Press that.
Oh.
Women are not in the You listen to this long.
Oh boy, my favourite religion, Catholics. Yeah. Vatican City, the home of the Antichrist. Yeah, pretty much. A lot of people forget that the Vatican is actually the living embodiment of the Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire still exists to this day. A lot of people don't realise that. Bob's your uncle. Is he? I've seen Bob for a while, actually.
Yeah, let's see, Bob.
Yes, guys, that again. I will try and move into the more centre because it's gone. Yeah, so again, guys, that was Lou reading from the Occult Science book. This is one of the main books you will get when you do occultology. Well, you used to get when you used to do occultology because it no longer is in the curriculum, which is a bloody shame. But obviously time moves on. It does make me wonder if they will actually add it back to the curriculum at some point. Probably not. So yeah, watch out, guys. Obviously, once I'm back on my feet, I am going to start writing out occultology, esoteric science, symbology, and demonology courses. Obviously, you'll be able to do them on the show. We will probably do the courses the way we do this. So you'll either be on cam with us or you'll be in the comments because I prefer helping people through it because it's easier than just going, here's the course, that's it, you're done, read whatever you want and let me know when you're done kind of thing. Don't like doing that, I like to talk people through. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for the night.
And I'll be abandoning you on Friday.
Yes, Lou will be abandoning me on Friday, so it's probably just going to be me and Damon. Hopefully. If not, it'll just be me.
Me and the child are going down to Bristol for the weekend.
Yeah, on their holidays.
Yeah, and then we'll be breaking up for school summer holidays.
I'm going to do that myself because I'm at work.
That's right. We're going to have a little girls' weekend away. Don't know what we're doing that yet. But no, I need to find that.
We share much needed info for the inquisitive. Yes, we do try. We do try. Yeah, great show again. Yeah, peace and light. Yep. But yeah, guys, that's it. You've got no show on, have you? Because you're taking a break from divination. I might find something to fill in the gap every now and then. We shall see. Depends. Because I do have a lot of shows I want to get on board. Obviously, for you guys that follow the show for a while, obviously you know I lost my job. I've got a new job now. I'm just on my feet.
It's got a van.
So, I've got a van as well, so it's very tiring. Isn't it? Yes. So, guys, be safe. Have fun over the week, and we'll catch you Friday. And if you can't do it